What's up, Buckeye Nation? Florida Cory here for Scarlet N Great podcast. Scarlet Great podcast audio version on any of your favorite podcast streaming services. Talking about Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Play, iTunes, whichever you like. We're making a big comeback on that one as soon as possible, probably by the end of this week, in fact. Also, guys, I just want to give you a quick heads up. We're still pushing for 1,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel, Ohio State Football with Scarlet N Great. We would really appreciate it. We're going to do a free giveaway. We're trying to get to that mark of 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe to the video if you like what you see. Also like the video. Everything helps the channel. We really appreciate it. And we'll continue to try to give you the best possible free content for fans, specifically for the fans that we possibly can. Also, I wanted to give you a quick heads up. This is part one, okay? One of a 3-part series of an interview with Kevin Noon, the director of BuckeyeGrove.com. Longtime Buckeye writer. I'm excited to give you this interview. A lot of great information. If you can, please visit BuckeyeGrove.com. Gives you the best bang for your buck as far as insider information. He works incredibly hard for you and to give you the best possible content as he absolutely can. Also, I do want to go ahead and give another shout out to Chat Sports. We really appreciate all their help and everything they do for us. And we wouldn't even be this far without them. So God bless those guys. We really appreciate it. As always, guys, this is part one of the 3-part interview with Kevin Noon, director of BuckeyeGrove.com. As we really appreciate all your love and support, guys. We hope you enjoy this. Part one. Let's go. And welcome, everybody, to the Buckeye Scarlet N Great podcast, Ohio State Football with Scarlet N Great on YouTube. Sorry, guys. Your co-host, Florida Cory. I know you're in your hearts, your favorite co-host, Johnny, will not be here today. He will be here soon, but I am joined by a very special guest, the director, the publisher of BuckeyeGrove.com, Kevin Noon. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing great. I have some very tiny shoes to follow for Johnny, but I'll do the best that I can.
Extremely small. Yeah,
very small. He's kind of like the guy from the Snickers commercial with a really tiny, or it's a Burger King commercial with the really tiny hands. But I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
You already surpassed him. It didn't take long. Oh, anyways, we did a Q&A session, Kevin, for Twitter. We wanted the Twitterverse to get to know Buckeye sports a lot more, but Kevin Noon, Buckeye Grove a lot more, and we figured, you obviously you're the guy to go to for that. And so I'm going to fire away some questions at you. The first one's going to be of the personal nature, but not too personal because we're not.
Boy.
We're a family show.
I'm married, ladies. I'm married. Sorry.
Oh well, I guess that takes away about 15 quit. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, first one is from an anonymous. She wanted to remain anonymous. Oh, it is a she though. She wanted to remain anonymous. It's a very simple question, though. She just wants to know how long you've been in reporting from the Buckeyes and if it's something like you fell into or you wanted to do and it's a dream come true type thing.
Well, growing up, I actually wanted to be a Major League Baseball, either announcer or manager. And it was very quick that I realized I did not have the athletic prowess to get it done as a professional athlete. So I had to find another way to be around sports. I always knew that I wanted to be involved in sports. As for how long I've been doing this, I have been working professionally since 1994, but I was told there would be no math on this show. But that's a lot of years or whatnot. Not all of them covering Ohio State. I did leave for about 7 years to go work on other beats, 5 years in Texas. 2 years in Tennessee and more of a corporate role. Did I fall into it? No, I wouldn't say that because I started in news and I knew I always wanted to be in sports. And since I got my start in Columbus at one of the television affiliates, I just pestered until I got moved from news to sports. And then really at that point, I never left. And nowadays, I'm just really glad I don't have to cover news because sports is just so much easier to talk about. And trust me, sports isn't always perfect, but at the end of the day, even if we disagree on an outcome or whatever, we can go out and have a beer or something like that and be fine with it.
Absolutely. When you said I didn't have the athletic prowess, I thought you were going to say I didn't have the athletic prowess to be a manager or a commentator.
Well, you do have to go out to the mound all the time, and I didn't really want to do that. I mean, I needed one of those bullpen carts or something to get out there, but Generally, most managers are former players. I mean, granted, a lot of them weren't very good players, so I could have maybe checked off those boxes. But Nah,
Exactly.
I'm happy with where I'm at. I mean, honestly, my dream job is retired. So sign up to Buckeye Grove to help me realize my dream of retiring one day.
Guys, you sign up to Buckeye Grove. You're not only just getting the best Buckeye information on the internet, you're helping make dreams come true. I mean,
exactly.
It's like your own little Make-A-Wish Foundation. But that being said, and also I thought it was, it's funny. It's like you use the Andy Bernard method to get into sports. You just wore them down, basically. So, let's get right into the questions here about actual Buckeye football, Kevin. Look. Some of these guys ask several questions at once, so I'm going to go ahead and just shoot them off at you, and you do the best you can to answer them. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, a lot of people. I get DMs all the time for questions. I'm telling you right now, Kevin's the actual guy you want to ask. I don't know anything. I'm just a fan. So this is from Trevor Allen. First question he has is, will G. Scott legitimately get a shot at tight end? Will Julian Fleming see a lot of playing time this year? And will Lejond Cavazos ever see the field? 3 questions.
All right. G. Scott will get an opportunity, but let's see what happens come September and October. He's not going to surpass Jeremy Ruckert this year. I think Cade's over. Yeah, Jeremy Ruckert, I mean, this is some guy. I mean, granted, we're talking about tight ends. I mean, and the 15 receptions that they might have a year, which is, not many. I think when we see a lot of 12 personnel, which is 1 back 2 tights, you're going to see Ruckert. I think you're going to see Cade Stover as more of your blocking tight end. But I really think that with there being some separation between those two and the rest of the pack with Joe Royer, Sam Hart, guys like that, that you're going to have an opportunity for G. Scott to get in there. G. Scott's probably not going to be a tight end who's going to attach to the line, going to be more of a flex. I was doing another show earlier today. We were saying maybe tight end isn't the right term for him. Maybe call him a big H-back. And I think he could be very successful there. I mean, because the truth of the matter is, and this is going to lead into the second question, there's going to be a glut at wide receiver. I mean, how much do you take Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson off the field? How much do you take Jackson Smith and Jigba and some of these other guys off the field? So I think that it's a good opportunity to draw up some plans for them and be able to have some opportunities, show some looks early in the season, force teams to have to prepare for some things. And then once they sleep on it, once you get to the end of the season and that rivalry game and beyond there, unleash it. As for Julian Fleming, I think so much of that's going to be dependent on his shoulder. If he's healthy, because he's been dealing with nagging injuries going into his senior year of high school. So this isn't, I just don't feel very good. I don't know why I don't feel right or whatever. He's legitimately been hurt, and that has slowed down his progression. Things have been cleaned up. The hope is that he's going to be able to get there. He wasn't quite there yet for the spring game, so nobody saw him. So he's on the side of a milk carton right now. Everybody's freaking out. Where is he? Well, he's only going into his second year, so I don't think it's time to start panicking at that point. I mean, they're sitting on a pair of first-round draft picks at receiver. I think that we will see more Julian Fleming. And then thirdly, with Lejond Cavazos, he's a guy going into his second year. Honestly, he's kind of right on that corner safety line for me. I think he probably would be a better safety, but you get paid bigger bucks as a corner, so everybody wants to be a corner. Nobody wants to slide down. I think he'll get an opportunity, but remember, you're going to have guys like Cameron Brown, Seven Banks, Marcus Williamson. But the good news is once Ohio State gets through his first couple of games, the schedule will lessen up a little bit. I think they'll be able to roll 2s and 3s and 4s through there a little more, but when you don't see them week 1 against Minnesota at Minnesota, and you don't see as much of them against Oregon in week 2, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're not to the point of panicking. Oh, another wasted year for him. You may as well start packing up his gear and putting him in the portal. No. It's knock on wood. It's going to be up to a 14, 15 game season. There's going to be plenty of opportunity, but we're not talking about 3rd and 4th year guys here that have just not had the opportunity to go. These are still guys all very early in their Buckeye careers.
Yeah, I actually agree with all that. I'm going to applaud you for your memory on that. Just remembering all 3 questions right off the bat there. It's like, well, I just shot them at you. And then I thought about it after, like, man, I just kind of put them under the light there. This is from Speak of the Devil, Johnny Bullet. The guys whose shoes you just surpassed. What's the biggest change in recruiting since you started this business? That's actually a good question.
Well, because back in the day, we didn't have Huddle for videos. We didn't have Twitter or Instagram or any of that. The biggest change is when I started in this industry, we were breaking all of the news. And by we, I mean the industry. I'd love to say Rivals. I'd love to say Kevin Noon. I'd love to say, after I'd been in it for a couple of years and I got my own site, Buckeye Grove. Yes, we've broken a lot of information through the years, but you weren't having guys self-reporting that were going out. There were a lot more commitment ceremonies where we could do a huge build-up, and there would be 5 hats on the table, and there would be cookie cake in the back and balloons and all of that stuff.
That was your favorite part, right? The cookie cake? That would be my favorite part.
I was about 115 pounds when I started in this industry. No, but the cookie cake was always a plus. We were getting game tapes of players, entire games, not highlights. We would have to cut the highlights. We were getting stuff on VHS and CD-ROM and whatnot.
What is VHS for those young people?
I know. It was this clunky tape, kind of like a video 8-track. I don't know.
Oh, man, now you're getting even further away from
I know. Well, I'm going to start talking about the old Victrola next. But we would have to go through and we would have to cut their highlights. And places like Rivals were like the only place that you would see highlights of these kids. And I mean, I can go back and remember some of these old highlight reels of guys like Jamari O'Neal and guys like that.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh,
one of the best tapes I've ever seen in my life was Jamari O'Neal. But every tackle that he had on there was targeting, was absolutely targeting. Launching, yes. Helmet to helmet, yes. Hitting with bad intentions, super yes. I mean, so I just think that the technology is very different from where we were 10, 12, 15 years ago. And I have no idea of what this might look like in 10, 15 years, but I don't know what football is going to look like in 10 or 15 years. Sure. Not to be a super downer or anything like that, but if you would have sat there and told me that we were going to have kids going out and putting stuff out with edits, and you would have to follow kids on Snapchat and other platforms that I'm really not quite sure what they're about, I would have said, what are you talking about? So it changes, but the bad news is I'm only getting older, and I'm only struggling with these apps more and more each year.
Oh, geez, man, don't get me started. I mean, I'm only 37, and I have people like, "You're not on this app yet." I'm like, what is that? Are you kidding me? No. And I get people in my DMs. Cory, did you see this recruit is following on Twitter? I'm like, I didn't even think to pay attention to that. Okay, my goodness. Imagine that actually probably, and ironically for you, Kevin, I imagine even though the technology is getting better, it's probably getting harder for you to like kind of tell where these kids are going and break news and stuff like that.
It's a relationship business. The best thing that you can do is getting in front of these kids, which obviously 2020 did not allow with a major long-term shutdown. But you get in front of these kids, you create the relationships to where they answer your phone calls, they answer your DMs, things along those nature. I will find that there are times we may know where a kid is going, and in Rivals, we have the future cast, and those other guys have the crystal ball or whatnot. And if you talk to these recruits, they hate those things. They hate them because they don't want the stuff put out there. So when Kai Stokes, the athlete safety out of Armwood High School in Florida, committed to Ohio State, we knew about it 3 days in advance. I never could put a future cast in it because we'd already done an interview with him, and if I had go in and put that out there, it would have completely ruined it for him. So we walk a fine line because obviously we want to provide the best entertainment value to our subscribers. We want our subscribers to be able to walk into a bar, walk into a party, walk into church and say that they know everything that's going on with Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, sometimes people do that, and then they don't tell people. They pass it off as their own information, which is fine, but they don't talk up the site, and then we don't grow. But so it's our goal to make sure that we give everybody the best information that we can, but we also don't want to double cross these kids, because without these kids, we're just sitting here talking about what's on your favorite pizza, which I know was a question that I saw on the Twitter earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin, I used to try to cover recruiting just a little bit here on the show. I've given that up because it's hard for somebody like me who doesn't talk to these kids. So what I do is I'll come up here. I'm going to be vague about it because you should get a subscription for Buckeye Grove.
Absolutely.
So I certainly won't give a screenshot or something like that. But which I've got to imagine in your business is a nightmare for all you guys. It's like everybody just screenshotting and showing it instead of buying subscriptions. But that being said, yeah, I definitely leave it to the professionals at Buckeye Grove to cover your recruiting basis, and I'll just give you the fan reaction. Hey, he committed. Awesome. Let me talk about it.
Absolutely.